He is well known because of his talent for researching difficult topics and presenting them in clear terms that all can understand. He's also the author of the world-famous book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the man himself, G. Edward Griffin!
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, freedom marchers, members of the Constitutional Underground. Okay, my topic today, as a sign, is everything about the Federal Reserve System in 10 minutes or less. Now that's a tough assignment, but now I look at you guys standing out there in the sun, I think I better make it about 7 minutes or less. So, all right, here we go. I figured out how do you condense something like the Federal Reserve into 10 minutes or less? I thought, well, this is the age of the soundbite, isn't it? Everybody wants their information condensed, shorter, shorter, shorter. So I started to work on it. I kept whittling here and condensing there and compressing there. And finally, I got the whole topic down to 14 words. Yeah. You ready? Okay, here it is. The Federal Reserve is the biggest scam in history, and you are its victim. I'm done. But, you know, in case somebody just wandered here freshly loose from the Matrix, or if they came here out of the Twilight Zone into the reality zone, maybe they might have some questions about that. So I thought they probably would have 3 questions that I'm going to answer. The first is, what is the Federal Reserve System? The second is, what do I mean when I say it's a scam? And the third is, exactly how are you its victim? So that's what I'm going to talk about very briefly here. Okay, the Federal Reserve System, what is it? Easy answer. It's not a government agency, it's a cartel. It's no different than a sugar cartel or an oil cartel or a banana cartel. This happens to be a banking cartel, which means that it's made up of the big, giant banking corporations, and they've joined together for the sole purpose of promoting their own industry. And they've done so trying to set in rules and regulations for all the cartel members to follow so they won't compete with each other, so they can plunder the marketplace. That's what cartels always do. But now they had a particular problem, which is similar to all cartels have a similar problem, and that is, how do you enforce the cartel agreement? How do you make sure that the members don't break away and break the agreement and start being competitive, for example? Well, that's pretty hard to do unless you have the government on your side. And so all cartels, I don't care which ones they are, seek to bring government into their organization as a partner. And that's exactly what the banking cartel did. They brought the government in as a partner. What they literally did is they convinced members of Congress and the Senate to take their cartel agreement and pass it into law. That's all the Federal Reserve Act is a cartel agreement passed into law so that nobody can escape from it. If you try and violate the cartel agreement, you go to jail. That's what the Federal Reserve System is. And so what do they do with this unusual power? Well, they've been given the monopoly power to create money. Your money, the nation's money, is created by private banks. Not the government, not by you. You don't take gold into the mint and say, here's my gold, give me a gold coin. That's how money used to be created. No, you go to the banks or anywhere you want to go and you get paper money that's created by the banks. By the banks, not by the government. It says United States of America on it, but it's not created by America. It's created by the banks, by the cartel. So what would you do if you had the power, the monopoly power to create the nation's money? Wow, what know what you would do? You would create lots of it. And lots more of it. And as much of it as you can. And you would benefit from that. And that's what the Federal Reserve System does. They have no limit as to how much money they can create. They create it literally out of nothing. Now that leads to the second question. What is a scam? Well, the scam, according to the dictionary, is any kind of a trick or plot or scheme which uses deception generally as a means to extract money out of the victim in such a way that the victim doesn't know about it or actually is happy to participate in it. In other words, selling a couple of shares in the Brooklyn Bridge, for example, would be a scam. People say, oh boy, that's a good investment, here's my money. And they're tricked out of it. Well, that's basically what happens because, you see, when the federal government comes to you and it says, we're going to change the interest rate, well, I shouldn't say the federal government, when Chairman Bernanke or somebody from the Federal Reserve comes before Congress and he says, you know, we're going to raise the interest rates today, or we're going to lower the interest rates today. And why does he say he's doing that? Well, it's for you folks. It's for you folks. We're going to cool down the economy, or we're going to stimulate employment, or we're going to do something that's good for the economy, something good for the American people, something good for you folks. You know, he would never speak the truth, which is, well, we're going to do it because it's in the best interest of the banks. You know, that wouldn't go over too well with the voting populace. So that's where the scam comes in. And how does that make you a victim? Well, a couple of your speakers this morning have already mentioned it. It's called inflation. Prices are not going up, folks. It's the value of the dollar going down. Yeah. The value of the dollar is going down. Interesting fact, if you had 25 cents back when I was a boy, 25 cents or 3 dimes in your pocket, which were backed 90% by silver, you could buy a gallon of gasoline with it. It cost $0.25 a gallon. I remember that. Today, if you've got 3 dimes or a quarter backed with 90% silver in them, you melt down the silver, you sell the silver and get Federal Reserve notes, you can still buy 1 gallon of gasoline with it. So you see, prices really haven't gone up. Gas hasn't gone up. Housing hasn't gone up. Groceries have not gone up. The fact is that the value of the dollar is going down, and that's a result of the Federal Reserve System. That's a result of the scam, and you are the victim because that means you're losing your purchasing power. Every dollar that you earn, every dollar that you invest, every dollar that you put in some kind of a monetary or dollar-denominated investment, whether it be a savings account or an insurance policy or a retirement fund, anything that's based on dollars, every day that passes, a little bit of that value is chiseled away. Chiseled away. It's like going into the casino. You know that when you put that quarter or that dollar into the slot machine, you may win now and then, but overall, a certain percentage of every amount of your bet is taken by the house. A certain percent every time you pull the handle. Every time you make an investment or a financial transaction in America today, this giant Federal Reserve casino, they take a little percentage of your money. And the longer you stay in that game, the more they take from you. So that at the end of your productive lifetime, after, say, 40, 50, 60 years of earning your money, they have taken about 98% of it.
We got nothing.
And you don't even know it, or many people don't even know. They think it's inflation. They think the money just went up to heaven someplace. No, it didn't go up to heaven.
To hell.
It went to the federal government and to the banks that are partners in the Federal Reserve System. So that's how you are the victim. They're stealing money from you. Okay, my 10 minutes are about up. Now, I'll end as I began. The Federal Reserve System is the greatest scam in history, and you are the victim. But now, what are we going to do about it? Yes. I'm going to take this whole topic and condense it down even further to just 4 words. Abolish the Federal Reserve.